Let's go!
Some pretty interesting news happened, and a lot of people are probably reporting on it like it's absolute fact. I will not do that to you. I'm going to give you my take on the situation, and we're going to talk about the rumors. And I don't think it's necessarily a leak. Somebody definitely said something publicly, maybe that they shouldn't, and that is revolving around Injustice 3. For those of you that are unfamiliar, I made a video about this probably a few months ago. The video title was "Please No More Injustice," and we'll talk about where the premise of my thought process behind that was that Injustice 1 and 2 were they're pretty similar games that expand on minor elements over the previous one, while Mortal Kombat games and what NRS usually do are very different. Like every single game, MK9 to MKX to 11 to obviously MK1, all these games are dramatically different games, and they don't really play alike. They all do very different things. However, in Injustice 1 to 2, the whole point of that video was that was a problem. It wasn't demeaning the quality of Injustice 2 as a game. That game has some of the best content out there of fighting games. It invented like the living towers, which people loved in MK11, had some of the best customization that NRS has ever done. They put a ton of effort into that. People genuinely loved that aspect of the game. It's actually a ridiculously content-rich game. However, my issue with it is that Injustice 1 and 2 were very similar playing, and I just don't find them to be very fun. I think they're good video games if you're just going to play them, but tossing projectiles and having that take up so much of the screen, I very much wanted Injustice to be something different. And it felt like if there's going to be an Injustice 3, they're probably just going to revisit all those characters. Batman is going to do his 1-2-3 combo. Superman's going to forward 2-3, ice breath your ass like all over again. Didn't really want that. I kind of wanted those games to play very different. I would love there to be an Injustice as long as it isn't the same. So I want to talk about that, and we need to talk about where this is all coming from. A few voice actors have come out and talked a little bit about Injustice or their involvement with something Injustice related. Got him to sign my Injustice 2 Steelbook. First, I asked him if it was like working with Kevin Conroy. He said he really didn't work with him too much. Placed his hand over the Hal Jordan skin Injustice 2 book, and he signed my Steelbook, and I told him he is the definitive voice for Jon Stewart. He hands me my Steelbook and says, "You know they're making another one. They're doing Injustice 3. Is that you, Danny? Okay, so you're the source of this, bro. Oh, that's Phil Lamar. Oh my God. Well, legend friggin' Phil Lamar. Crazy. That's a crazy thing to say, Phil. Mr. Lamar? That's a crazy thing to say." Moving back a little bit, there's another one from Brendan Batman. He got to meet George Newbern, who is one of the famous voices of Superman. Telling him how much he loved games like Multiverses, and in response to the Multiverses comment, he told me that he's currently working on Injustice 3. Ha! Well, that's funny. Pretty crazy that multiple voice actors were obviously showing up at a con of some kind, and two in like a very short time frame, August 23rd to like, less than a week later. Both of them saying that there is an Injustice 3 or they're working on something Injustice related. Pretty crazy, Could be like the worst kept secret. Yeah, I was definitely not thinking it was going to be Injustice 3. I'll be honest, and I'll talk about that where I hope this eventually goes, because I still don't necessarily want Injustice 3 directly. However, this changed not even that long. Somebody saying he wanted to apologize. I gave the wrong impression here about this, but this isn't a leak or what I meant. I think I got caught up in the heat of the moment. I was making a guess based on what he said. My mistake. I worded this incorrectly. I apologize. So yeah, this was the Superman guy, pretty much saying that maybe he got caught up and all this kind of stuff was happening and he did not accurately report it. He said he was doing it under his own record. He posted about a week ago. This isn't from the actor, it's from the guy that reported it. Forgot that all this traction came. So anyway, that happens. Like, we have seen this happen in a variety of situations. Like, even one of the lead producers of Chrono Trigger, there was a weird mistranslation that people inferred that, no kidding, Chrono Trigger's coming, like they're making like a new one or something, and all of a sudden they were like, no, we are not doing that. Like, oh dear, no. But the problem with that is that even if it's like shut it all down, are they trying to like cover themselves? Are they trying to save face for the fact that, we talked about things too early? However, a couple of weird things. Voice actors historically have Absolutely, because they're not as connected to the game development process. Like, they are relatively disconnected most of the time, especially to like a lot of fighting games and stuff like that. Most of their involvement is kind of like done in a recording studio within a few hours, because their rates for things like fighting games or story modes have to be done really fast. So a lot of times they're paid like daily rates. So you have to finish, like, get as much stuff in a day as possible. To a voice actor, they're just doing a gig, providing the VO for a character, for a show or whatnot. It is what it is. But this has happened many, many, many times. But to, you know, WB, it's a giant multi-million marketing scheme that they'll eventually have to like lean into, you know? Either way, let's just talk about it like it is real. Let's just use our imagination. Let's just say injustice is happening. These voice actors are talking about it. I think that's also a healthy thing for NRS. I think it is a good thing that NRS gets a break from MK. A third Mortal Kombat in a row, that's pretty nuts, dude. And I do feel that creatively, and I did say this before, that they need a break to sort of reevaluate stuff. I would also love, because Injustice as a series acted as a testing ground for what would appear in the next Mortal Kombat. This happened in Injustice 1, and it obviously happened in Injustice 2 with MKX and MK11. There is some interesting opportunities for the developers to move into an Injustice game and try some new shit. And I think that's what I would really want, man. The only thing that I'm trying to echo from the previous video to this one, I really don't want it to play the exact same. I'm completely down with the DC hero fighting game. I'm completely down with it. But the way those previous two games played, even though there is fun to be had in just competition, those did not necessarily become forever fighting games. For some people, they did in its single player content, especially in Injustice 2. People could kind of go back and keep playing that and unlock gear and stuff like that. The same thing with MK11. Those sort of are forever fighting games in many ways to a lot of people because of their single player content. But man, it's pretty hard to go back and like find people legit enjoying Injustice 1. Injustice 2 has legit rollback netcode, so you definitely can find people playing it. Did it sort of like have this either competitive community, or at least a lot of people that return and come back to it because it was just the game that was so much fun? Not nearly as much, man. It's still there because the casual fan base for old games is still huge. You'd be shocked how many people are still playing even MKX, bro. You can still find ranked matches in MKX. That's nuts, even when it comes to the PS4 version. But still, I think I'm personally hoping, and I could understand if they want to stick with the same thing, but I hope they completely reevaluate some of those game mechanics and the way characters move and the way they play and all that stuff. That's all I really want. I just do not want Injustice 3 to be Injustice 2 again, at least in gameplay. And content, totally fine, dude. Like, that stuff is what gets people on board, and it is the stuff that, well, most players find the most fun. But let's be honest, these guys are out here talking about portrayal of roles of characters from the Injustice universe. Now, here's the thing. I am not letting go of my hope for MK versus DC. If anything, I hope that if Injustice is a thing, that is the universe they're pulling the DC characters from to do an MK crossover. I think that would actually be really cool. There's also another thing where the modern like DMCU, what the hell is it? The DCEU, however they're talking about it with Superman and all that kind of stuff, where James Gunn seems to have like a lot of involvement with the game universes and all that kind of stuff. Injustice doesn't really line up. It's the DCU, thank you. Injustice doesn't really line up with that because it's the old dark and gritty shit. I think just visually and thematically, it also doesn't line up a lot with some of the recent efforts that they're trying to push forward into the future. So I don't know. I don't know if that is a point of contention, but I definitely see a route. They have the Injustice universe fighting against an MK universe of DC characters, because we know both of those universes in some way, you know? And it might be the MK1 universe of Liu Kang and Raiden and all that kind of stuff, because that's a different universe than obviously the MK11 one and the one that came before it. I'm holding out hope, man. I'm holding out hope that it isn't a standalone Injustice game. If it is a standalone Injustice game, I desperately want to know how it plays. If we are entertaining the thought that these voice actors are accurate in what they're discussing, and they're not talking about an Injustice, you know, anime or animated series or OVA or some shit. If the one thing is, I'm happy that NRS might be getting a break. They might be getting a break from it.